Hey everyone, Richard Robbins here. Well, the numbers are in for Vancouver for the month of April. Let's take a look at what's going on in your marketplace. So, here's January through to April. Here's what's happening with your sales. Now, as we would suspect, moving into the spring, obviously sales are going up. So you can see we did 1,100 sales in January, up to about 1,500 here in February. Then we moved to 1,700, and now we're at about 1,800. So you can see your sales were up February, January by 34%. You're up 16%. If you look at March over February, and you're up about 6% April over March, which we would consider normal. Probably normally we would have seen a higher percentage in April, but let's look at active listings, okay? So again, your active listings at the end of the month, you had 11,000, then you went to 11,590, which is up by 7.2 I should say, then 12,700 up by 10%, and then you can see here 14,357, which puts you up by 12%. Now look at this. If your sales were only up by 5.9%, and if your inventory is up by 12.4%, does that mean your market is strengthening or weakening? It means your market is weakening. Now, I wish I had better news, but it means your market is weakening, which means your months of inventory is going up. So, your months of inventory determines the strength of your market. This number here divided into this tell you how many months of inventory. 4 to 6 is balanced, okay? You had 9.8, 7.8, and then we went to 7.4 in March. Unfortunately, we went back up to 7.8 in the month of April. So we're back to what we were in February. Now, I will admit, I didn't think this was going to happen. I thought your months of inventory is probably going to go the other way. But what's happening is we're taking on a lot of new listings, so the percentage of listings is up by more than the percentage of sales. Well, if we go back here, when you look at your months of inventory that dropped, look at this, 7.8 to 7.4, you can see your inventory went up by 10%. Your sales went up by 16. Do you see the difference there, everybody? So that's what's causing it to move this way. You can see your price January. You know, your prices remain around the same. It's starting to slide just a little bit, but I'll talk more of that in just a moment. So here's your sales, okay, and your listings and your months of inventory compared to last year. So I was just looking at this year, 2018, 2,579 sales. We're down to 1,829 in April of this year, okay? If we look here, 9,822 listings. We're up to 14,000 active listings right here. So obviously you can see what's going on. Months of inventory went from 3.8 last year to 7.8 this year. This is a substantial change, everybody. So obviously, what's happening with your price? Look at the benchmark price. If we look at your price, total for 2018 was 1.09 or 1.1, and we came down here, okay, to about $1 million. Obviously, it's almost a 10% drop in price overall. Then let's look at apartments. We were at 700,000, went down to 657. So your apartments are coming down, not quite as much percentage-wise, but close. And then if you look at detached, you can see 1.6 down to 1.4. Now this number makes sense because if you're operating with the amount of inventory you're operating with right now, months of inventory, of course your prices need to start weakening, which they are. But keep in mind that every market, every geographical area could be different. Every property type could be different. So a condo building, they're going to have their own number of inventory, which will determine the strength or the weakness of the marketplace. But let's have a look. This is a cool graph that I would suggest you create and use this on listing presentations and working with buyers. Because what this is your months of inventory, and it has 2017, 2018, and 2019. So look back here in 2017. You're operating with, around 3, went down to 2, up to 3, right along 3, and we ended at 3.8 months of inventory. Strong market, good market. Then we moved to 2018, we started at 4 months of inventory, and of course we can see what started to happen. It started to rise, we started to go up to 6, and then 6, and then we went up as high as 8 right here. And then you can see we ended up at 9.6 months of inventory at the end of the year. Now what happened in 2018? Stress test started here, didn't it? So with the stress test starting here, you can see that all of a sudden it started to go up. And then we started the year here, 2019 at 10, okay, you can see what's going along, and we just drifted up here to about 7.8 months of inventory. So what's going to happen in the next 2 months? I'm not 100% sure, but it's good to know what's going on so you can have valuable, relevant conversations. But what about the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver, Fraser Valley, and Victoria? I thought this would be interesting to see what's going on in these markets. So first of all, your benchmark price, $1 million, okay, Fraser Valley $834 and Victoria $875. Months of inventory, 7.8, Fraser Valley 5.7, Victoria 4. So Victoria market's still very, very strong, you can see. You can see Fraser Valley is more in the balanced area, if you will. 4 to 6 is balanced. Probably high-end detached is going to be weakening because they'd be more expensive. Of course, the lower-end stuff might even be strengthening. There's going to be places in Fraser Valley where they're getting multiple offers, on certain property types. But here you've got Vancouver, what's going on at 7.8. Now, here's a big number. I wanted to show you this. This probably is not going to be something a lot of you people realize, but I think it's important that you see what's going on. You have in Vancouver about 14,000 real estate sales professionals. You did 1,829 sales in the month of April. Do you see a problem here at all? This is a major problem. I think you would all agree. Now, do we have too many agents right now? Probably. Will we see some attrition of agents over the next little while because of the market? Probably. But this is the key. The key is that we always have lots of real estate agents because the barrier of entry is very low to get in. Doesn't cost a lot of money, doesn't take a lot of time. So you got a lot of people that get in, and I got in a cab one time, and the guy was a real estate agent, and he was also driving me to the airport in Las Vegas. Give you an idea what's going on. Because a lot of people get a license, and they hope that their uncles, brothers, son might sell someday. You know what I'm saying? So what you need to do right now is you need to be out there. If you want to take advantage and get some of these sales, you got to be out there. You got to be prospecting. You got to be meeting with people all day long. This is what you got to do. You got to be talking to people. Because if you're not doing that, you're going to be lead challenged. And if you're lead challenged, you're not going to be doing any sales. So I'm suggesting you want to turn it up a lot. You want to spend most of your time generating business, talking to people, marketing, whatever it is you got to do, because you can see we get 14,000 agents chasing 829 sales. Now that doesn't mean that you can't do well. We got all kinds of coaching clients in BC that are absolutely killing it right now. So it doesn't mean you can't do well. However, what you've been doing for the last couple of years, I'm going to suggest isn't going to work this particular year. Got to get the nose to the grindstone. There's times in life where we got to get out there and we got to work harder than ever before. We got to work harder for less than ever before, and that's a position we're in right now. But here's what's going to happen. When you do that, when you're willing to work harder, when you're willing to develop new skills, when you're willing to study the market, when you're willing to do that at times like this, it will start to pay you dividends when times start to get good. Because this is what strengthens us. This is what makes us better. Just like working on a muscle, you know what I mean? This is where we get educated, this is where we get disciplined, and this is where we get better. Anyway, I hope this was helpful, and I got a big announcement for you. We are starting a podcast. It's called The Richard Robbins Show, and it's going to be launching in the 3rd week of May. Now, if you're on our email list already, if you get our email blogs, you will be notified. But if you're not on our email list and you're not getting our blogs, and if you're interested to know when the podcast is going to launch, go to richardrobbins.com, go to our website, and sign up for the email newsletter, and then you will be notified as soon as that podcast launches. And at the end of the day, everybody, remember, it's a beautiful life. Make it count.